Okay, thank you very much, Katrine. Staff has advised me that we are live now on the YouTube PM stream part one. And for those of you listening and trying to connect, please do so. Committee of Adjustment, June 23rd, PM session, part one stream. Thank you. We will continue where we left. So if I can have all the videos on for the members of the committee, we have Member Macaulay, Member Saeed, and Member McKay. I still don't see the other two, but please try to switch in. Okay, perfect. Now, we had no questions for Greg, so thank you, Greg, for taking the time to speak with us. We will now move on to Tom Cassanda.
Hello. Hi,
Hello.
Tom Cassanda. Yes. I actually think the residents, and I think there's one other resident or two other residents that are going to speak after. I was intending to speak at the end, but I think they'll make a very good case for why this doesn't fit. So I'll focus on two other items. And if staff could pull up the site map, I believe it's page 3 of the arc design drawings. And first zoom in to the back where the pool is. I just want to point out that this subject is located within the jurisdiction of the City of Toronto Ravine Bylaw, according to the bylaw map. And if it is, it would be subject to the urban forestry ravine protection. I do note that the pool encroaches on the 10-meter setback from the top of line bank indicated on the site plan, just the same as the previous file for 33 Bellahaven. The setback line is shown on the site plan, but it's not labeled. There is a full basement under this, and that would seem to be a concern because this would be a new excavation as opposed to replacing an existing excavation. Now, there was a ravine natural feature protection letter indicating they had no comments regarding the requested minor variances, but this variance wasn't requested. So I guess they wouldn't comment if they saw a letter saying these variants were requested, they would have no comment on that. So I don't know if this is an omission by the bylaw examiner. The designer should be aware of this because they submitted the drawings and they would have placed that line on the drawing. So I'm surprised that this variance hasn't been requested. I assume that if they don't get such a variance, they couldn't proceed with that part of the building. If you want to just zoom in there, you can see there's the thing called top of line, top of bank, and there is the 10-meter setback line. So I'll leave that to, that's a technicality. I don't know if that's a concern approving something when a variance hasn't been asked for. I would like if you could, Katrine, if you could just move towards the front of the building to just in front of the garage. I just want to comment on something. There was a lot of words about, actual the height of the established grade. And if you zoom in, you will see that there is a data point 177.39 meters just in front of the garage. You'll also see to the left a data point of 178 meters, so a height of 0.65 meters or 2 feet from the driveway to the actual above the retaining wall. You'll also see 5 stairs and a little walkway that's not indicated on the illustration for the building. And right next to that, you'll see a data point of 178.31, which means that the retaining wall drawn here is about 1 meter, or give or take, which is consistent with the existing grade as per the rendering from the street we provided. The applicant said they had to cut into the hill, but in fact, the 8-foot high or about 2.5 meter retaining wall that they've illustrated in the front view and in the illustration actually adds to the hill. So they're building it up. They're actually building it up from what it exists. This does help in that view because it tends to hide the view of the 3-story part from that particular perspective they chose. But what really matters is the fact that and it was described as this is a sidewalk out. Well, what really matters is the intent. And the intent is there's a neighbor to the east and they have a two-story home. And when they look over to the west, they're going to now see a three-story home with a flat roof that towers above them. I think that point's been made. Bottom line is, zoning department has evaluated this as a three-story. If you look at the back view, it's very clear it's a three-story. And just because you call a basement a sub-basement doesn't change the fact that this is 3 stories above a basement. Um, I think that that's if you could just bring up the bird's eye view. This will be my last comment. The bird's eye view that we provided. It really is this was done by this was done professionally with as actually a model, a sketched model. So again, I'm asking for the view, the bird's eye view from the community submitted letter. I think it's page 3. And I'm a professional designer. I didn't do this illustration, but I can look at it and check the perspective lines. You can see that it is about 4 or 5 times the size of the house on one side. And it's just of an obscene scale. Um, and we talk about, well, what could be uh, built elsewhere. We certainly don't want more of these
Mhm.
houses built all along the bluffs.
Tom, your time is
And
up. Would you please
okay,
mind
thank
wrapping
you.
up?
Uh, it's important to understand the real scale of this building,
Okay.
and it has been evaluated as 3 floors. This shows the house next to it's actually hidden by existing trees, but those trees, because of the positioning of this house, will end up being, they won't survive, and so you'll have cutaway trees and have this massive house. So I think the community is pretty clear on how they feel about it, and it does not meet the 4 tests, and these are not minor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tom, for your time. Members of the committee, any questions for Tom? Member Macaulay, please go ahead. You're on mute.
Tom,
You're fine. You're fine. Go ahead.
I'm fine. Okay. Um, Tom, I believe you're president of the Community Association. And my question is, in discussing this application, have you talked to any of your members who live on Sylvan, and what would their perspective be of this? Or is this area so covered with trees that they're not going to be impacted?
Margaret, one of our members, did go and talk to, and they've all, I think every house below this on Sylvan has signed the petition. They signed a letter. We took around drawings and showed them what was being proposed. I went there myself to look at the site just yesterday, and um, it's couldn't exactly identify where it is, but the residents who lived there, who lived below this house, said that and actually I do remember from personal experience walking around there in the winter, because we looked at a house, we were actually considering purchasing a house in Sylvan. We went there, it was in the winter, it was in the backyard, and you can look up the hill when there's not leaves on the trees, and you can see the houses above. In some cases, and these residents say that they will see that. So without actually having been provided a section, which could have been done by the applicant, you can't, there's no proof that you can't see it. They say that they can.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Member Macaulay. Thanks, Tom. Any questions? Okay, I see none. Thank you. We will now move to our next speaker, Dimitri. Dimitri, I'm sorry, I won't be able to
Yes, I'm
pronounce
here.
it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Oh, that's
Dimitri.
okay. That's okay.
Sorry. So you
So,
have, yeah,
no,
five
no issue.
minutes. You go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman, and thank you to the committee members. I'm going to change my presentation a little bit. I think given what I've heard. I would like to also answer committee member Macaulay's question about the Sylvan occupants, the residents on Sylvan. I can tell you that, first of all, let me say that I am the owner, one of the owners and resident at 41 Hill Crescent. So I am the house next to the house abutting the applicant. Our house is one of the newer builds. It's about 10 years, and it's probably the biggest house in the neighborhood. It's about just over 6,000 square feet above grade. It's a two-story, it's not three-story. I walk my dogs every single day down on Sylvan, and I can tell you that I can see my house from Sylvan, and we are a lot lower on the hill than 37. We're number 41, and the hill, goes down. And this is so it is visible, and so you can well imagine a three-story building from Hill Crescent that is higher on the hill. And this is one of the points that I wanted to make, so I'll make it now, and that is that this is the crucial fact here. It's a hill. The street is called Hill Crescent, and it's a reason. It's a hill. So the top of the hill is Markham and Hill Crescent. This property is three houses down from the very top. It's very near the very top. So you can well imagine a three-story building, no trees around it, because, and I do take issue. I do take issue with what the presenter said, that he will try to, or he will, the builder will maintain the integrity of the tree canopy. With all due respect to the presenter, I think, I don't know if he's aware of the trees that are at least in the front of the property. I have counted at least 30 large mature pine trees with very thick diameters. All of those trees will come down. He said that they're trying to keep the ones that are closer to the street standing. And I'm happy to hear that, and maybe that is possible. But there are trees that are much closer to the existing house that it is physically impossible for those trees to stay up with the proposed dwelling. So let's not forget, this is a hill. It's a three-story building. Our house is just over 6,000 square feet. It's probably the biggest house in the area. It's big, and this proposed dwelling would be 13,000 square feet. I mean, I concur with Mr. Casanda. It is obscene. The scale is beyond monumental. It is obscene. It has nothing to do at all with the character of the dwellings in the neighborhood, and it absolutely fails every single part of the test. Are the variances sought minor? No, they're not. And I'm not going to go over them. You have them before you. Number two, would the granting of the variance result in development that would be desirable for the appropriate development or use of the applicant land or building? No. Uh, does the variance requested maintain the general intent or purpose of the zoning bylaw? No. This building, if you were asked to approve a commercial building on this lot, you would say no. This is a dwelling in name only. Its scale and its design has nothing at all to do with the buildings around it, adjacent to it, next to it in the neighborhood. This is more akin to an alien spacecraft that is proposed to land and destroy everything around it. It has nothing at all to do with what the buildings look like here. And I can tell you, my house is one of the largest ones at less than half of what they're proposing. Number four, does the variance requested maintain the general intent or purpose of the official plan? No. And I strongly urge you to reject this application outright. And I do invite the initial speaker to address the point about the trees. He made a comment to you, and he made a submission to you that, with respect to it's simply physically impossible to maintain, when he said that with this proposed dwelling, the existing trees will stay standing. It is impossible. The footprint is so much bigger. It comes so much further, closer to the street. If you drive by the street, you'll see what I mean. These trees, it's impossible for them to stay standing with what he's proposing. And, I urge you to reject it, and keep in mind, this is a hill, and we're not dealing with what if, because he said it's an odd shaped lot. Well, that's what we have to deal with. It's a hill, and this building would be perched on top of a hill of the size of a commercial building or a small high rise. And it's outrageous.
Okay.
And I think, I
Dimitri,
think it's not
Dimitri,
just a matter of, it's not,
sorry to interrupt you,
I just
but
want to say,
time's up.
yes,
Okay. So I just wanted to let you know that your time was up, but if you have a closing sentence, please go ahead.
just want to tell you that this is not a matter of concern to me, just a matter of concern to me and to others. It is a matter of bottomless contempt. The builder has shown bottomless contempt for the neighbors, and so we return that to him and we say, you cannot build this. This is the city of Toronto. It's not the Wild West. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dimitri. Members of the committee, any questions for Dimitri at this time? Okay, I see none. Well, Dimitri, thank you. Your comments have been acknowledged and certainly heard. Next on the list is Frank. Frank, are you with us?
Oh, hi, I'm here.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Frank, yeah, if you could speak a little louder or maybe increase the volume, that would be great.
Okay, is that better?
It's better. Carry on. If there's anything, I will let you know.
Okay. My name is Frank Shadlick, and I live at 27 Hill Crescent, which is 2 houses west of the subject property. My family's lived here for 14 years, making me one of the new guys on the block. The house I live in was built in 1930 by a well-known civil engineer, John Heron, and I only mention that because it's been deemed as historic by the Toronto Historical Board. I too was shocked and awed by the sheer number, size, and scope of the variance being requested by this proposed build. Um, I don't really think I want to repeat what's been said. It's a tough act to follow. The only thing I want to address at this point is if anyone has looked at the list of signatures, they'll notice that 39 Hill Crescent, which is the single house that's most impacted by this, wasn't there. And the reason that they didn't sign is that we couldn't get a hold of them. They were traveling. We finally got a hold of the daughter who lives there. She's of university age, has graduated. She's and she finally did sign the letter of objection, which makes it universal. 100% of the neighbors find this absolutely astoundingly bad. And so I just wanted to let the committee know that 39 was one of the objectors, even though they didn't show up on the signature sheet. And that's all really I have to say. I just joined with all the other people in requesting that you refuse this application. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Members of the committee, any questions for Frank? Okay, I see none. All right. I think that brings us to the end of our list of registered speakers today on this application. I will now go back to Mr. Jurusik. Mr. Jurusik.
Okay, I'll try to keep my comments here concise. First off, there is no issue with the size of the house under the bylaw. We comply with floor space index, coverage, setbacks. We've adhered to the setbacks of the existing house, which is from 39 next door is 4.31 meters, and we kept to the same exact wall height there. The existing house, when my client was purchasing, was labeled as a bungalow for sale. In essence, we've removed the roof and added a second story with a flat roof, so it's not much higher than that. When I mentioned that the trees were maintaining at the front, it's all across the front street and down the property line with 35 and the other property line. We're maintaining those trees. That's why we kept it to the same boundary, the same foundation to the 39 to maintain those trees. There are some trees which are classified zero point 0.3 diameters at the front porch itself, probably about 5 or 6 that will be removed right up against the house at the existing entranceway. But the majority of from the street, though that canopy is to be maintained and no other trees are being removed. There is no other trees in the back. In terms of the Sylvan Avenue, Sylvan Avenue, I just did a quick measurement, is from our back patio to the property line at Sylvan is 310 feet away. The elevation rise is 23 meters. So we are 23 meters down. We are on a hill. Yes, I admit we are on a hill. This is Hill Crescent. It does not mean that we're not allowed to build a house because it's on a hill and it'll be more visible. So that I don't agree with that premise that we're on a hill and that we're dealing with the issues here. I did a quick calculation. If we measured the house at the average elevation points at the front of the house where the front is, not at the side or setback, our variances would only be requesting 8.3 meters in height, and that's including that garage that's sunken. The, the document itself for the notice states that the basement is considered the first floor. Zoning department recognized that because of the hill, we're cutting into the side of the hill, that the majority of the house is in compliance. It's just that the garage and the east side and coming along the back. The pool itself is cut into the existing hill. It's not actually cut in the hill. There is a retaining wall there, and when you on the west side of the hill, it might be 3-4 feet, and you're at the roof of that. So the majority of the house, like I said, it's a technical variance here in terms of where the established grade is measured. But when you look at the front door at the majority of the front elevation, we are at 7 meters height. Five of the variances are height, and I think I've clarified why that is so in terms of this. One is the driveway itself, and through all this, I didn't hear much about the balconies, but like I said, my client would be amenable to remove the front balconies facing the street because it's not, except for the porch, which is technically a variance required as well as the porch itself. But the rear, there's been no concern about mention about overlook into that. Our neighbors are over 35 feet away between the property buildings themselves. I think we've made this design so it fits within the scope of the bylaw. The technical issues are due to height, as I mentioned before, because we are on a hill and how it's calculated established grade, and the driveway itself is existing driveway we're trying to maintain. And as for TRCA and Ravine, they had no comment. My drawing shows two top of banks, and Ravine has mentioned that my top of bank, the upper one, is not where they measure it. It's at a lower top of bank where if there's a lower top of bank down because we have a gazebo and some man-made staircases going down to a lower plateau area, that's where they consider the top of bank, not the upper one in terms of Ravine. That is why that is not of concern for that. I think I addressed all the issues here. And I know the committee is aware of some of these technical issues on heights, and I leave it in your hands.
So, Peter, I have a question and maybe a point of clarification for one of the members, community members that raised about the GFA. Although it's not a variance listed, you meet or you comply with the floor area, but could you describe how the GFA at 13,000, I believe, that was mentioned, was
Okay,
calculated?
the actual square footage, okay, each floor is at 4,000 square feet, 4,600. So our ground floor, which I count the ground floor at the front door, and the second floor with the bedrooms, the house is 9,400. Because of the established grade being below the garage floor level, that level in the basement is also considered. That's why they add another 4,000, and we're having 13,000 square feet there. But the actual living quarters, which is the ground floor where the kitchen is and the second floor where the bedrooms is, equates to 9,400 square feet.
Okay. And just again, out of curiosity, I'm sure you've looked at the houses in the area. Can you, like, roughly or approximately tell me how large are those houses, like approximate square footage?
As the one neighbor mentioned before, his is the largest right now, and he mentioned his is a little bit over 6,000 square
Okay.
feet, and that's two doors down. I think I'm just going by his words that he
Okay.
just mentioned that his is the largest house currently, and it's about 6,000 square feet.
And you haven't done your own
Okay.
analysis. Okay.
No, I haven't looked at all the houses.
Okay.
Most of them are bungalows. The original house here was a bungalow, and left to right property lines, we're keeping to the same side yard setbacks, and we're just adding the second story, which is a flat roof to it.
Correct. Correct. I do see that the setbacks are being maintained on the sides. Okay. Okay. Well, I just wanted to help. I just wanted to better understand the build form here. Thank you
Not a
so much.
problem. Not a
Members of the committee, any questions for Peter Jurusik? Okay, I see none. All right. So we're going to take the matter into committee. Unless, Peter, any closing remark before we go into committee?
The closing remarks, I know that the height issue looks daunting when it looks on paper right here, but technically speaking, um, in any other neighborhood, this would comply with zoning bylaws if we were at 7.5 meter height. It's just because of where the measurements taken, established grade. I know the neighbors might not be able to visualize it or understand that, but being on a hill is on a hill. It doesn't negate the idea that we can't have a house on a hill, and you will be visible. I admit a house on a hill will be visible. So,
Okay.
but there is no overlook, especially on Sylvan Avenue being 310 feet away and a 23-meter drop. Yes, we might be able to see the backyards, but any house would be able to see the backyards in that. Even if it was a bungalow, we would be able to take a look down 23 meters and see it. So that doesn't really eliminate an
Okay.
issue, right?
Okay. All right, fair enough. Thank you very much, Peter. We take the matter into committee now. Members of the committee, any comments, any deliberation, discussion points? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Can I have Katrina pull up the variances that are requested?
Sure,
I'm having some difficulty with my two computers here.
no problem. Katrine's pulling it up. There you go.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to start on the discussion of this one. The reason I want to look at the variances is when you look at the proposal itself, it is a huge house. And when you look at the design of the house, it has a number of features, a 6-car garage underneath the building. So you start to say, hey, this is a very large house. Now, Hill Crescent, I know, is one of those very, I'll call it neat areas of Scarborough where the houses are different. It's got its own character. And what I'm looking at here with these variances is how do we get such a huge house? And is that out of character with what's in the area? And do the variances that are in front of us, do they make sense in creating that large a house? I'm kind of struggling with this because I don't see that the variances are overwhelming. Sometimes you can pick up numerical changes, but I'm concerned that this house is, if not twice, maybe 3 times larger than any other house in that area. And that will start to change the character of the area. As some of these other houses get changed, they too will come up to 2 and 3 times the size of what is existing. So that's where I'm standing here.
Okay.
I'm struggling with this one.
Okay, all right.
Any
So that was a comment, or like, is that something that you want to further discuss with members? You're muted. Say something, Member Macaulay.
I said that was a comment.
Oh,
That I'm struggling with this because I'm having difficulty reconciling the variances that were being requested
okay.
with the ultimate size. And it may be that the ultimate size would be permitted even without these variances. So the variances themselves don't seem to be horrendous, but
Okay.
the size of the house causes me some concern. And if this is what can be built in this area, then what we'll be seeing is a number of other
Okay.
houses of that massive size.
Got it. Okay. Thank you very much for clarifying that. Member Said, Member McKay, any comment, any thought? Member McKay, please go ahead.
So, Madam Chair, I'm just struggling with the four tests, thinking about is this appropriate development? Is it minor? And appreciate the comments from Member Macaulay. Um, in my view, I don't think that this meets the test, but be happy to hear from other members.
Okay, Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for comments of the other members of the committee. Yeah, I echo the same. It's becoming a little bit struggling over here. Like when I look the variances, as Member Ann said, it could be approved without the variances. Like one of the size is the GFA is like about 13,000. It's double than the other houses have, or the biggest house have 6,000. That's quite a big size. So it's a huge dwelling. The other issue is that it's the location of this development is at the top of the hill. I drove into the area, and the moment I crossed the Markham Road and Kingston Road intersection and went all the way towards the Hillcrest, it started moving up, and it's going to be top of the hill. So this development is going to be more prominent at that place. So even if the variance size is not there, one of the tests before the committee is that the proposal is decidable for the appropriate development or use of the land or building.
As
So
it
that is
relates to
another
the
question.
variance, as it relates to the variance.
As it relates to the variances, right? Yes, the size variance is not there, uh, but the variances of the character and the appropriate, how appropriate this building is. So I am also struggling in that area.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if I can just sort of flush it out for members' benefit, going through the list, if you look, the way I understand the proposal is that variance number one at 10.5 was for a small portion of the building. Like if you looked at the front elevation, the only part that was protruding out at 10.5 was that parapet and that center feature. Okay, so it's not all across the width of the building. Number two, the way I understand, the third story is being triggered by that garage, which is sort of set in a bit where the established grade is. But for the majority of the building, the height is not an issue. It is at 2 stories. It's only for that portion that has the garage in it because of the grade difference there. And as you very rightfully pointed out, because of the hill, the grade differential is significant. So for that portion only, that is where the third story kicks in. But the rest is all 2-story. The third one, again, that relates to the height of that parapet, which is above the permitted, but that's only for a small section there. It's not for the entirety. And then the fourth, fifth variants, they relate to decks, which are pretty much on the rear of the building, overlooking, the natural area, not overlooking any private property. So all those balconies and platforms are not going to impede on anyone's privacy there. They're at the back. Yes, one can make an argument. There are many and they are bigger, but they are not going to affect anyone's privacy because the way the building is oriented, if you look at it, it's not looking directly into someone's property. In fact, it's flaring out. The property flares out, so it's looking in a different direction. And then the sixth one, the driveway width, again, it's a wider property, so a larger driveway width, in the grand scheme of things may not be significant. And then the last one, again, is sort of related to the height. So I think we have to look at it from that perspective. It's these little things that may appear to be a long list of variances on the notice itself, but if you look at them individually, they are for smaller components. They're not for the entirety of the property. There are no setback variances. There is no GFA variance. There's no lot coverage variance. There's like the significant build form and massing variances are not there. So that's my 2 cents and my understanding of the proposal. I wanted to kind of put it out there so that committee kind of just recap the application before us. Okay. Any comment? I think we've had a good discussion. I think we all understand. We all, have our opinion about the application, and I think we can go back in circles. But let's just proceed and then go forward with a motion here. All right. So can I have a motion, please, Member Macaulay?
Okay. As I have said, I am struggling with this, as you have, Madam Chairman, as you have pointed out, the variances are small. Variances don't have to be numerically large, but we have a number of variances here. What is not, I'm not concerned about the size of the variances so much as the overall impact and what it is leading to. And that is a building which I think is not appropriate to the area. And that's one of the tests we have. Does this development fit into the character of the area? Clearly, it doesn't. Clearly, this building is twice, if not three times, larger than any other building. On that basis, I'm going to recommend refusal of this application.
Right. May I have a seconder, please? Member McKay seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried. The application has been refused. Thank you. All right. That brings us to the last item from our morning slot that was held. There's one more. Yes, number 16. So that's what I was getting at. So brings me to the last item now. Item 16, 23 Silbury Drive. And we held it because there were two neighbors who had registered to speak. So item 16, 23 Silbury Drive. We have with us the applicant, Ashok Shah.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, thank you, Ashok. And we have two neighbors. I will not do a roll call, but it's Joseph and Yasu Kiran who have registered to speak. Okay, which is interesting because on the agent on this application, I have Yasu Kiran. Maybe it's a different person, but it's the same name as
No,
the neighbor.
he's the agent. Yes,
He's the agent, right? He's not the neighbor.
yes. No, agent.
Okay, so Colin, can you please confirm with me? On the speakers list, I have Yasu Kiran as listed as a neighbor, but he's actually the agent.
Yes.
If he's saying he's the agent, then he's the agent. So we stand corrected.
Okay, perfect. All right, no problem. Thank you. So Ashok, please go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair and committee members and staff members for this opportunity to present my case. My name is Ashok Shah. I'm the owner of 23 Silbury Drive. We have made this application to legalize and maintain the existing sunroom, rear sunroom, and covered deck. The canopy over the deck and rear small sunroom, partially covering the deck, was built around 4 years ago. The structure is not large and is not unusual for area. It has no negative impact in character of the neighborhood. The small sunroom, which is partially covering the deck, is not heated. It has no cooling, no concrete structure, no lighting fixture. It is only being used by grandkids to play around whenever they visit us. We are an elderly couple, and this sunroom is mainly for the children, grandkids, who come once in a while to play there. The structure is on the ground floor and is not high. That can have any impact on sunlight of property of neighbors. Also because of the design of sloped roof of the covered deck, it has no visual impact. We value the privacy of neighbors, and we have around 6 feet high wooden fence for that with all our neighbors. So this is all what I have to say. This sunroom and the covered deck is only for the children mainly for the safety aspect, and they enjoyed their childhood while playing in this sunroom, and that is all. So we want to. It is up to committee to take care of this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ashok. Any questions? Before I move, I just want to acknowledge that member M is back. She was absent from the last item because of conflict, and she's back. So welcome back, member M. So going to the committee members, any questions for Ashok Shah on his application as he explained? Okay, I see none. All right, we will now move to, thank you, Ashok. So just stay with us. We'll come back to you. We'll move to speak with the neighbor. Can we have Joseph, please, on the line? He's not there? Oh, okay. So Joseph Shion, who had registered with us to speak as the neighbor, is not signed in. So I guess we can carry on. So coming back to the committee members, any questions for Ashok now? We don't have the neighbor here. I just want to, for record, say that we did receive letters of opposition from a couple of neighbors here. Just wanted to put it out on record, and we have it on file, and we've reviewed it. Okay, so if there are no questions, then we can move to the committee. So Ashok, I don't see any member has any question for you right now. Do you have a closing remark before we go into the committee to make a decision?
Yes, this is the small sunroom, which is only for the kids, and we all want our kids to play in the nature
Okay.
in the safe manner. So this is all what I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, and Ashok, you are aware of the community planning staff report and the recommendation that has been provided to the committee?
Yes, yes,
And
yes,
you're aware of that and you don't have any issues with that?
correct. No issues.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, members of the committee, we take the matter into committee. Member M, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Generally speaking, my main concerns usually with existing structures is I want to ensure that it gets constructed in a manner that is safe, especially if it's being occupied and used by children. And I know that that was one of the concerns that was raised by the neighbors in terms of their letter. But that being said, I am aware that they are going through the process of the building permit. So all of that, I'm assuming, will be upgraded if need be to comply with the building code. So that being said, just looking at the actual variances itself, while I don't condone, asking forgiveness versus permission, I understand that this is an existing condition, and I do feel that the variants themselves do show as minor. It's not four season kind of coverage, permanent sort of structural addition. It's just almost like an enclosure of an existing deck for a certain use, and I'm supportive of the request. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, member M. I do also echo your comments. I think it's a modest, partially enclosed space for weather protection and from the protection from the elements. So I don't have a concern with that as well. Any other comment? Okay, I see none. Well, we take this matter into committee now. Oh, member Said, is that a comment or a motion?
No, I was going to make the motion.
Please go
Sorry
ahead.
for that.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ashok, for your understanding for the community planning staff report. You acknowledge that. Subject to that condition, I would make the motion for approval of application number 16.
Okay, seconder, member M.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application is approved, subject to the condition of community planning staff report. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, that brings us to the end of the agenda for the morning session, I would say the morning time slot. and we will take a break. It has been a few hours for us here. Committee members, any suggestions for a break? How long would you like to have? 30 minutes? 45 minutes? Okay.
I'm okay with 30 minutes just to help with hopefully shortening the afternoon session.
So we have a motion for 30 minutes on the floor. Seconder, please. Okay, Member Macaulay seconds it. All right. And I'm sure everyone's in favor of this. So 30 minutes and we will be back. Okay. So for those of you who are listening in, 30, we will be back in 30 minutes. So that would be 2:30. Thank you. we're good? Okay, thank you. All right, good afternoon and welcome everyone. Today is June 23rd, 2021. We are in the afternoon or the PM session of our hearing today. We will be dealing with items 17 to item number 30. So again, item 17 to item number 30. Some housekeeping matters before we begin our hearing today. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto Committee of Adjustment, virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by the computer, a phone, or a tablet app. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. All registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you mute all of your personal devices, including the YouTube stream, when you're not speaking, to prevent transmission of background noise and minimize disruption to the meeting. Please unmute your computer microphones before speaking. Please ensure to mute the YouTube streaming while you are speaking. The hearing will take place at a slower pace. Each item will be stated, and then a moment will be given to allow everyone to find their place. Please write down the WebEx meeting access code and attendee ID from your WebEx meeting invitation and keep it nearby for quick reference. If you experience lag or audio issues, please disconnect and call into the hearing and enter that information. Please call into the hearing with the phone number that you've registered with so that staff can recognize your number and unmute you when your item comes up. Before we begin our hearing, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Toronto is now called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for minor variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to create new lots. The time slot of the hearing right now that we're currently dealing with, as again I'm going to repeat, is for items 17 to 30. To ensure a fair and timely hearing, I will vet the agenda to determine which applications can be dealt with immediately and which applications require a more in-depth review. When an item is called on the agenda, I will confirm if the applicant and all registered speakers are present. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or the applicant, if they wish to proceed with a presentation, if desired. If they desire, they can proceed. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are advised that they let the chair know if they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or the agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or the agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee. Please note that the committee may decide to not entertain revisions to the proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate, and that all those who are entitled to receive the notice of application are informed of the changes. The committee may entertain revisions if, in the opinion of the committee, the requested variances are straightforward and minor in nature and may not affect other variances or the overall proposal and the intent of the application. Then speakers either in support or in opposition to the application will be invited to speak. Please ensure to include your remarks or concerns that you may have. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. If there are several speakers sharing the same view, please select a spokesperson to present the group's opinion. We certainly want to hear your views. However, covering the same points will not advance your cause. Please be advised that all registered speakers at the hearing today will be given a chance to speak to the committee before the committee moves on to onto the applicant for a rebuttal or a response to the concerns that have been raised by the speakers. The chair will advise if any questions there are for the speakers. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or the agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. Please note that unless committee members have any questions, the speakers will not get a chance to rebut the applicant's response. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest of panel or staff for items 17 to 30 at this time?
Through the chair, there are no conflicts from staff's end.
Okay, and member M?
Apologies, I'm just trying to pull up my email that lists them.
Okay,
bear
I
with me.
think you had in the morning advised us of item number 25.
I believe there's more than just that item.
It's only
Madam
for,
Chair.
member M, it's only for items 17 to 30.
Okay, apologies. Yes, then item number 25. Thank you.
Okay, so item number 25, member M has an interest in it, and she will excuse herself when we discuss that item. All right, we will now begin our hearing and hear the items 17 to 30 that are included on the agenda under the current time slot. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda and ask if anyone other than the agent or the applicant is present and wishes to address the committee. If there are people in interest, the matter will be held until all non-contested applications have been cleared from the agenda. If there's no person present in interest, the agent or the applicant will proceed with their presentation if required. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into committee for a decision. So moving to the first item on the agenda for this time slot, it is item 17. Item 17 is 36 Kilpatrick Drive, and we have with us Matthew Frater Sangili.
Hi, Madam Chair and committee members. Yes, this is Matthew Fredericangeli. I'm the agent on the application. Address is 107 Gladstone Avenue in Hamilton, Ontario.
Perfect. Thank you, Matthew. We have your application before us. Members of the committee, any comments or questions for Matthew at this time? Okay, I see none. Matthew, committee members do not have a question. Do you have any comment at this time, or before the committee takes the matter into committee?
No, nothing at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the committee, there are no comments of the
Madam
applicant.
Chair,
Yes, sir. Yes, yes, Said.
sorry, Madam Chair. I just wanted to ask a quick question from Mr. Matthew. Matthew, how many trees are going to be injured or removed from this property because of this development?
There will be 0 trees removed or injured. On the site plan, you can see there was a tree protection fence that's been shown, which is in relation to the urban forestry requirements based on trunk diameter, and it is outside of the construction zone.
Okay, and you are aware of the urban forestry condition?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
No problem. Thank you for flagging that. Appreciate it. Okay, members of the committee. If there are no comments or questions, can I please have a motion? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There is only one variance before the committee, and that is minor. So I would like to move the motion for approval of application number 17, subject to the condition of urban forestry.
We have a seconder, member M.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Q, all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried. It's unanimous. The application has been approved, subject to condition of urban forestry.
Thank you.
Thank you. We now move to item number 18. Item 18 is for 77 Randstone Gardens. And we have with us Clinton Dochuk. Oh, as the designer? He's not there, okay. Clinton Dochuk is not there. Committee members, were there any questions on this application? We know that urban forestry, we had a refusal memo from urban forestry, and there were no objections from transportation services. For record, I would say we had received a letter from the councillor requesting for deferral. Do you have any questions at this time? Are you prepared to take this into committee and make a decision on it? We can proceed. If the committee has no questions or concern, we can make a decision on it without the applicant. Member Macaulay had her hand raised. Please go ahead, Member Macaulay. And then I'll come to you, Member M.
Okay, I would suggest that maybe we hold this to the end of our second session to see whether the applicant shows up, especially in light of the counselor saying he would like a deferral and that the applicant agreed to the deferral. Maybe there's a miscommunication here.
Okay, I take that under advisement. We can wait until the end of the vetting of the agenda, but I wouldn't want to wait until the end of the second time slot hearing. But certainly, at the end of the vetting of the agenda, I will come back. So Clinton, if you are listening in, please try to connect, and so that we can have a chat with you regarding your application.
I just was gonna jump in. I know
Please.
I had had my hand raised. I support the jumping back at the end of the vetting. However, I do agree with Anne that I think that perhaps there was a miscommunication, and because the counselor requested deferral and said the applicant did, and then we didn't hear anything, perhaps it would be at that time safest if the applicant isn't there to just defer it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member M. So, Clinton, if you're listening, please try to log in and connect and maybe get some, we probably would need some clarification from you. Okay, so just to kind of recap, I'm holding item 18 until the end of the vetting of the agenda. Item number 19, Nicole, sorry, this is for 64 and 66 Glen Wartford Drive. Item 19. 64 and 66 Glen Watford Drive, and we have Nicole Parr as the agent. Nicole, are you with us?
I am. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members.
Good afternoon. Please, do you have, before we proceed, members of the committee, any questions for Nicole at this time? Okay, I see none. Nicole, the committee members do not have any question, but do you have any comment at this time?
No comments, just that I've read the staff report and agree, and that's perfectly okay, as well as the transportation report. And, that all sounds really good to us, and no other real comments.
Okay, and have you had a chance to read the community planning staff report?
Yes.
Yes, correct, I have.
And you have no concerns with the recommended condition? Should committee approve it?
None whatsoever.
Okay, and also the urban forestry comments, you're aware of those?
Yes.
Okay, and no concerns there as well?
No.
Okay, all right. So committee members, you heard the applicant's aware of the conditions and she does not have any concerns. Member M, please go ahead.
I'm prepared to put forward a motion of approval subject to the urban forestry conditions, the community planning conditions, and the comments from transportation services.
So transportation services did not have any condition, basically.
No, that's why I had said comments.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right, Member Macaulay.
I'm prepared to support Member M's motion. However, I just want to raise an issue. I think we should take this as item 19A, which is 64 Glen Watford, and item 19B, which is 66 Glen Watford. There's two separate applications and two separate properties.
That's a very good point. That's a
thank
very
you.
good
Should I
point.
amend-
Yeah. Member
Should I
Macaulay.
amend I'll amend my my motion then, Madam Chair. So I'll do the first motion on the first application, and then I will repeat my motion for the second application. Does that work for
Yes.
the Secretary Treasurer?
Yes.
Okay.
That would work.
So, thank you. I recommend approval subject to the urban forestry conditions, community planning conditions, and commentary from Transportation Services for application A0110/21SC, which is 64 Glen Watford Drive. And then I further recommend approval of application A011/21SC, which is for 66 Glen Watford Drive, subject to the conditions of urban forestry and community planning. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I'll second those motions.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried, it's unanimous, and applications for both 19A and 19B items have been approved, subject to conditions of urban forestry and community planning staff report. Thank you very much. Okay, we now move to our next item. Our next item is item number 20. And item 20 is 11 Zamri Walk. And we have with us, just bear with me, Sam Yu. Okay, no, so there's a list of registered speakers on this, so we will hold on this item. So item 20 for 11 Zambri Walk is being held for further discussion because we have two neighbors with us who wish to speak. Item 21, this is for 105 Zaf Avenue. Again, we have a neighbor in opposition listed to speak, so we will hold down this item as well.
Through the chair, the speaker, the speaker who had registered is not logged in.
For item 21?
Correct.
Okay, so I've been advised by staff that item 21 for 105 Zaf Avenue, the neighbor who had registered has not signed in. So I guess we can take this matter right now, take it up for during the vetting as well. So can we have Yasu online, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Yasu Somalingam. I'm authorized agent. And also for your information, that neighbor who was objecting, my client went spoke to him, and then he is in support, and that letter was sent to the staff yesterday, together with some other neighbors who is in support.
Okay, thank you, Yasu, for confirming that. Members of the committee, do we have any questions for Yasu at this time? Okay, I see none. Yasu, before we take the matter into committee, any question, any comment or anything that you would like to say?
No, it's basically it's the same in this neighborhood, and we are in line with the neighborhood. These extra car variances are required to get this development going, and then, as mentioned earlier, he spoke to the neighbors 103, 104, 107, and 5 Fitzy Foster Drive. They all are okay with the development, and it's basically same as in this neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Yasu. Members of the committee, if there are no questions or comments, we take the matter into committee. May I have a motion, please? Member M.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I recommend a motion of approval for 105 Zaf Avenue, subject to the urban forestry conditions.
Yes, I forgot to ask Yasu, if you don't mind, Ellie, can I have him back quickly? Yasu, you're familiar with the conditions of urban forestry and you have no concerns?
Yes, Madam Chair, we went through that. We have no
Okay.
concern on that, so we are okay with that.
Okay, I just wanted to check before we. So we have a motion on the floor to approve the application subject to conditions of urban forestry. May I have a seconder, please? Member McKay?
Madam Chair, I'll second that approval. Thank you.
All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried unanimous, and the application is approved subject to conditions of urban forestry. Thank you very much. Okay, we now go to item number 22. And item 22 is for 12 Eleanor Avenue.
Through the chair, on the speakers list, there's agent and the two homeowners of 12 Eleanor.
Yeah,
So
I saw that. Thank you
Yeah.
for reconfirming that. So we have, so we're on item 22. This is 12 Eleanor Avenue. And we have Shahid Nanavati. Shahid, are you there?
I'm here, ma'am.
Okay, so can you speak up a little bit, Shahid? We can't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you. And we
Can
also
you hear me
have,
now?
yes, we can hear you now. Thank you. Just stay with us.
Thank you.
Members of the
Mhm.
committee, any questions for Shahid at this time on their application? Member M.
Hi there, sir. Now, are you aware of the community planning conditions that these variances are only applicable to your one-story addition?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, so that means that any further changes to your dwelling, these variance will not apply, and you would have to come back for subsequent relief. So what is
Right.
before us is just for this one-story addition.
Right. So we are not going in for a second story because the family has a mentally challenged child. So we are not going onto the second level of the house because of that, just to prevent any accidents happening. And the only reason why this house has been is longer in length and needs this variance is because of that factor.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, just confirming, were there any urban forestry report? There wasn't any condition. Okay. All right, any further questions of Shahid? Okay, so Shahid, before we take the matter into committee, any comment that you would like to make?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. All right, members of the committee, if there are no further comments or questions, can I please have a motion? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you very much, Shahid, for having the understanding about the community planning staff report recommendations, and you have shown a commitment to that. That's excellent. So the variance before us is minor. So, Madam Chair, I would move the motion for approval of application number 22, subject to the condition of community planning staff report conditions.
Thank you. Seconder, please, Member M.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried. Application for 12 Eleanor Avenue has been approved, subject to conditions of community planning staff report recommendation. Thank you. All right. Moving to item number 23. Item 23 is 23 Lark Hall Avenue. Lark Hall Avenue, I believe. So 23 Lark Hall Avenue. And we have registered with us the agent, Bambat or Ben Baghdadi. Ben, are you with us?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Yes, this is Bamdad Baghdadi from BBA Design Studio. I'm the applicant and architect for this project.
Okay, sir. Bambad, are you aware of community planning staff report and you've read their recommended
Yes.
condition? Do you have any concerns with
Yes,
that?
we have no objection. No, we have no objection. It's related to this mainly second floor deck that you're proposing, and we will build it based on the plans before you.
Okay, perfect. Now, members of the committee, any questions for Bambad? Okay, I see none. Bambad, we will take them. Member M.
There is no registered speakers today. However, we have received letters of opposition. Most of those comments from my read through those letters were in relation to things that were not necessarily privy to this committee. But I just wanted you to acknowledge that there are some concerns over tree protection and property damage, and I just would like to know that you have seen those concerns, sir.
Thank you, Ms. M. Yes, actually, the homeowner, contractor, and myself, we had a very productive meeting with the neighbor on this past Sunday, Father's Day in the morning. And we went through their concerns. Now they have no issues. The trees, they're actually away from the construction zone. And their main concern was the fence that is leaning, and they wanted to erect the fence in front of the side door, which the owner agreed to sign a mutual agreement. And they are going to fix the fence, the dust and the noise. Also, the contractor told them that there is a bylaw when the permit is issued that they will follow, and they make sure that their property is protected. And
Great.
forestry has no concerns because we don't have any excavation happening for our proposal.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for flagging that, Member M. So if there are no further questions, Shad, before I take the matter into committee, any comment, or is that okay? We move forward. Okay, all right. We'll take the matter into committee now. Members of the committee, if there are no further questions or comments, a motion, please. Member M.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm prepared to put forward a motion of approval for item number 23. And I think there are community planning conditions to tie it to the plans. Thank you very much.
Okay, may I have a seconder, please? Member McKay, please go ahead. Member McKay, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yes, just before voting, my note is that on that staff report that there's to be a privacy screening on the edge of the balcony. So
Yes.
just wanted to see that that's included as part of our condition of approval.
Yes, so the motion on the floor was to recommending approval subject to the condition as listed in the community planning staff report, as is.
And then I moved, I second that approval. Thank you.
All right, so we have a seconder, Member McKay. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously and the application is approved. Thank you. I think we had lost the applicant, right? Because I couldn't hear. That's okay. It's done anyways. Item 24, 93 Cray Avenue. And we have Leo Mastendia as the applicant or the agent. Leo, you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you, Leo. Members of the committee, any questions for Leo at this time? And there are urban forestry conditions. Okay. Leo, are you aware of the conditions of urban forestry?
Yes.
Okay. I think I saw Member Said raise his hand. Member Said?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It was the same clarification about the urban forestry. Thank you. You already made it.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. So Leo is aware of the conditions of urban forestry. So are there any questions for Leo at this time? Okay, I see none. All right, Leo, before we take the matter into committee, is there a comment that you would like to make or say anything?
I would just like to say that we submitted 6 letters of support. Planning had no concerns. Our variances are minor in nature. We're only asking for a 6% extra in floor space, which is consistent with the area. And the front yard setback, it's only because of the corner of the shape of the lot, how it angles. But in the straight part, we comply, and we are still set back further than the adjacent one property. So I just wanted to add that I believe this does meet the 4 tests, and it is consistent with the built form as well as what's been approved at the committee. And I submitted a support package showing that.
You did, yes. Thank you, Leo. We did review that package. Thanks for that assistance. Now, members of the committee, we take the matter into committee. Any comment? See none. All right, then can I please have a motion? Member Macaulay.
Thank you. I move that we approve this application for 93 Cree Avenue. I'm just checking I don't believe there is any other conditions.
Urban forestry conditions.
Urban forestry.
There is an urban forestry. Okay, subject to urban forestry. Therefore, I move it subject, move approval subject to urban forestry conditions.
All right. I have a seconder, please. Member McKay?
Yes, Madam Chair. Second that approval.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried unanimously. The application's approved. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm going to excuse myself for the next item. Thank you.
Thank you. Except that this will be held because we are, there's a list of speakers there.
Through the, I just want to confirm, are those speakers registered?
Are we checking for those during the vetting?
Okay, yes, so yes, please hold it.
Okay. So we're holding down item number 25 because we have the speakers online with us. Okay, so do you want me to check if they're online just so that we can be more efficient? Okay. I mean, it's a good idea. I mean, see what happened the first time. Like we were able to deal with that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's okay. Item 26. Item 26 is 22 Blackbird Gate. And we have Daniel Felsen. Daniel?
Hi, committee and chair.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you for joining this afternoon.
My name is Daniel Felton.
Okay. Members of the committee, we have the agent here, Daniel. Any questions for Daniel on this application? Member M?
Hi there, Daniel. I did have a chance to look at the plans, and there wasn't any elevations or anything, and I'm just trying to understand the condition of the rear yard, just because is there a certain layout sort of limiting why the entrance couldn't be within the rear yard and the backyard to sort of avoid the conflict that you have with that sort of shared side yard condition? Because just basically looking at the street view and the distance in between the two houses, there's no fence that's erected to really separate the two access points. And the letter that I had read from the adjacent neighbor who is opposed to this, she does have, some valid concerns over accessing her property in order to, let's say move like the lawnmower or anything in the back. And I'm just trying to understand why it wasn't possible to have this secondary entrance in the rear, just because there does seem to be some conflict here,
Member
given
M?
how narrow it is.
Member M, sorry to interject, but do you think this is going to take a while for discussion? Because we're vetting the agenda right now.
Well, if it's a quick answer, like in
Okay.
terms of structurally it's not possible, then
Yep,
I understand.
Okay, all right. So I'll let the applicant answer that question.
It's a quick answer.
Please go ahead.
Essentially, on the south side, there's a there. Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear
Hello?
you.
Okay, yeah, it is a quick answer. So on the south side, there's a sliding door. It's about 6 foot wide. So we can't exactly put the entrance below the sliding door. And then on the north side, what you don't see in the site plan is there's another 6 foot jut out for the chimney, well, the faux chimney, which you don't see in this site plan. But we also can't put the walkout where the chimney is. So it's effectively there's nowhere in the rear yard that we can actually tap into the foundation walls.
I understand.
Now,
I
with regards to the
figured there was something.
concerns on the yeah, we that's what we tried to do actually. It would have been better. Now on the north side, there technically will be no access from the side yard to the rear yard. So even if like the owner of 22 can't walk onto I believe it's 24's property to get to his rear yard because technically there's a gate and a fence that's enclosing the backyard.
Yeah, I didn't see that in the street view. Like I saw the fence, but is the access point before the fence or afterwards? Because it looks like it's before the fence. But if this is going to take longer,
The
we can hold this down.
the fence stops
Yeah.
where the rear yard begins.
So then
Okay.
the door is before the fence. So yeah, let's hold this down, Madam Chair.
Okay, all right. We're going to hold down this item. Daniel, it appears that in addition to member and member McCauley also had some questions. She had raised her hand. So we're going to hold it down and come back to it, okay?
Sure.
All right, thank you. So item 26 is being held. Item, item number 27 for 65 Sandown Avenue. And we have, I guess, the owner and the agent and the grandson of the neighbor. Is Paul, Paul is not there? Okay. So Paul Callady, who had registered as a speaker, is not signed in. So we will proceed with the item right now.
Madam Chair, we've lost you. We can no longer hear you.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Still, okay, just hearing you now.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. I don't know what happened there. I didn't move.
Can you start again? Sorry, Madam
Yes,
Chair.
I will certainly start again. Thank you, Amy, for letting me know. So it appears that the only registered speaker from the neighbors, Paul Callady, has not signed in yet. So I guess we can proceed with the application with the owner or the agent. So Gopi is the owner. Gopi, are you there?
Yeah, I am here, but
Okay.
the Patrick will actually represent on behalf of me.
Okay, all right. So Patrick will present. So Patrick, are you there with us?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Patrick.
Hello? Yes.
Okay, just bear with me for a second. So, members of the committee, we have Patrick McCall, the agent. Any questions on this application for the agent? I just want to say that for record, we did receive letters of opposition, and they are on file, and we've kind of reviewed them. So, 65 Sandown Avenue. No questions for Patrick or the owner? Okay, I see none. Patrick, there are no questions or comments from the committee members. Do you have any comment at this time before we take the matter into committee?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right, thank you. So we now take the matter into committee. Committee members, any comment? Member Saeed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, I have no question, just a comment. If Mr. Patrick is aware of the urban forestry conditions, I am willing to support the application.
Good one, Member Saeed, as always. Patrick, are you aware of conditions of urban forestry, and do you have any concerns with those?
No, I don't have any concerns.
Okay, all right, thank you for confirming that. On that note, can I have a motion, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Patrick, for confirmation of your regarding the urban forestry conditions 2 and number 3. Madam Chair, I move the motion for approval of application number 27, subject to the condition of urban forestry.
Okay. May I have a seconder, please? Member McKay?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'll second that motion to approve.
Great.
Subject to urban forestry.
Okay, all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously. The application is approved, subject to conditions of urban forestry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we now move to item number 28. Item 28 is for 122 St. Andrews Road. We have Mel Benham with us. Oh, Mal Benham is not online with us. We have a community planning staff report on this, and TRC has no concern. So members of the committee, we do not have the applicant. There are no registered speakers. Any comment on this application? Member M?
It would have been helpful to be able to ask him if he is aware that the application and the variances only apply to the one-story addition. I mean, he's not here, so that will just have to be, and if it doesn't comply, he will have to come back and before this committee, so
I think,
I'm prepared to proceed.
okay, you're right, absolutely. And I think that is the intent of the application, which is to construct a new one-story rear sunroom addition. So he should be aware of his application and the conditions if committee chooses to approve and apply that condition. Okay, so on that note, may I have a motion, please? Member M, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm prepared to put a motion for approval of item number 28, subject to the community planning conditions to tie it to the plans, as well as the urban forestry conditions. I see that there was no TRCA conditions.
And there were conditions of urban forestry? Yes, you're right. Okay. All right, we have a seconder. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? Unanimous, motion carried. Application's been approved, subject to conditions of urban forestry and community planning staff report recommendation. 29. Item 29 is 38 Carindale Crescent. 38 Carindale Crescent, and we have Rafi Tashtajan.
Yes.
Hi, Rafi.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman and committee members, and thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Rafi. Members of the committee, we have the agent here, Rafi. Any questions for Rafi on the application? Okay, I see none. Are there any community planning staff? Nothing. There's no conditions there. Okay. Rafi, committee members do not have any comment or questions at this time. Before I take the matter into committee, any comment?
Just quick for so for the proposed lot coverage, it's like a 36.5. It's only a little bit. It's a minor one. The maximum proposed floor area is 237.4, which is included the attached garage interior area. So if we took all those ones, it's coming all like way to 210 square footage plus minus. So we're close to 204. And the proposed side yard setback, we're just trying to keep the wall of existing garage. That's why we didn't carry 1.2. But after the garage, whatever we propose, it is we have the setback 1.2 meters. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rafi. Just for record, I would like to state that we do have a letter of support from the local board councillor on this application. Okay, committee members, we heard Rafi. Take the matter into committee. Any comment? I see none. All right. Can I please have a motion on this application? This is 38 Carindale Crescent. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I recommend approval of this variance application. I don't believe there are any conditions.
You're right. Okay, may I have a seconder, please? Member McKay. You're on mute, Member McKay.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I second that approval.
Right. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried unanimously. The application's approved. Thank you. And the last item, I believe, for this time slot is item 30. Item 30 is 46 Bing Avenue, and we have Lalit Kanaran. Lalit, are you there? Thanks, Ali. Lalit, it seems you're connected, but we can't hear you. Hello, Lalit. Can you unmute yourself, maybe? Okay, it seems like the applicant's having an issue in connecting. We can proceed, right? Yeah. There's a staff report as well. Okay. So Lalit, checking in last time. Have you unmuted yourself? It's not connecting. Okay. All right, members of the committee, it appears that Lalit is having some technical difficulties in connecting via audio because we do see him that he's signed in and he's logged in. We have the application and we have community planning staff report making a recommendation of tying it to the decision should the committee approve it. So any comment, any question at this time amongst ourselves, I guess, at this point, or for staff? Any clarification? Okay, I see none. All right. If there are no comments or questions, may I have a motion, please, on this application? Member McKay, I think, started to speak. Member McKay, were you trying to put? Oh, okay, all right. Okay. Member Said,
No, no,
okay.
I lend the floor to my friend Macaulay there.
Okay, all right. All right, so I think my eyes may not have caught it, but is that okay if we proceed with Member Macaulay?
I'm fine with that. We wave too much between us when we're trying to get your attention.
Okay.
With the respect to this application, I recommend approval for the second story addition, subject to the community planning condition that they build in accordance with figure number 1.
Okay, so it's a motion to approve, subject to condition of community planning staff report. May I have a seconder, please? It was a tie. I'm going to pick Member McKay.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I second that approval with the community planning condition. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor of this motion? The motion is unanimous carried. The application is approved, subject to condition of community planning staff report. So, Lilith, we apologize we couldn't get you, but your application is approved. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to the end of our items for this time slot, and I will just capture again the ones that we have held.
Through you, Madam Chair, we were supposed to come back to Zambri Walk because somebody wasn't online.
You got it. Thank you. Thank you for reminding.
No problem. That's item number 20. However, if the applicant isn't here, we can proceed without him as we've done with all the other ones this
Which one was that? Which one was that? Item 21?
That was
20.
Yeah, item 20. Yeah, sorry.
I thought it was item 18, but maybe I'm wrong. Grandstone Gardens?
It's the one that was requested to be deferred by the counselor. Oh, you're right. No. Thank you.
It is item 18. You're right, but it's item 18. We had the designer,
yes,
Clinton.
Apologies.
So I wanted to check if Clinton's there. Okay, Clinton has not signed in. So if you go back to the agenda for item number 18, which is 77 Randstone Gardens, I believe one of the members wanted to, I guess, confirm, because there was a request of deferral from the counselor, if the applicant thought maybe there was some misunderstanding there. But the applicant's not here, so we have to make a decision on, well, we need to make a decision.
I think I'm of the mindset, let's defer it. I feel that perhaps the applicant did agree to the deferral, but didn't notify committee that he agrees to the deferral. And so I think for just on the side of caution, we should just defer this application. How do my fellow committee members feel?
I think that's an appropriate way to proceed. So, Madam Chair, I would move that we defer this application sine die.
Okay. Have a seconder, please?
I'll second. Okay. I'll second that motion.
All right. Member M seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried unanimously. The application for 77 Grandstone Gardens has been deferred sine die.
through the chair, just for clarification, when we're doing the decision, the reason for the deferral is because the applicant was not present, and there was and that there was a request from. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a little unclear. So between that request for deferral and the applicant not being present, it's a little difficult to confirm why the applicant may have been absent today. It potentially could be that he agreed to the deferral request, but he forgot to inform the committee or staff about it. Who knows? So
So the
For
applicant was not
clarity,
present to confirm whether they. Yeah, I get it.
yeah.
Okay.
I
To
was going to
confirm.
say for clarity, Madam Chair, I was going to say that the reason for deferral is that we require further clarification from an applicant that is not present.
Okay. I think it'll work. Thanks, Amy. Okay. So I just want to go back and confirm the items that were held. So we held item 20, item 25, item 26, item 30. No, that's it. Oh, that's it. Oh, forgot to cancel these. Okay. So item 26, item 25, and item 20. Thank you. So the first one on the list, item 20, we have Sam Yu, and item 20 is 11 Zambri Walk. Sam Yu is the agent. Sam, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay,
So
great.
Sam, we have your application before us. You have 5 minutes, should you wish to make a presentation.
Okay, because I heard from my client and there might be some concerns from the neighbor. But actually, yesterday I get a call from my client and he said he have communicated with his neighbor and solved the dispute. So I think if necessary, it's better for me to make a quick presentation.
It is better for you to make a presentation?
Yes, if they
Okay.
have any obligations.
Okay, so you have a few minutes, so please go ahead.
Okay. The application requests three variants from the current zoning bylaw to permit the backyard extension proposal. My client is a couple with two children, and their parents lived with them in a large family. So the intention of such improvement is to create an open concept living area for positive the family gathering and separate sleeping area for growing family members. The first variation is about the main wall height. When you look at the south elevation, we have a modern clean front without the regular cantilevered eaver. So the height of the side main wall will be 7.31 meters. So it will exceed the permitted height a little bit by 0.31 meter. So, but actually, when you look at our proposal, the building height is still less than the maximum overheight of 9. So in our opinion, there will be no direct build form impact or concerns to our neighbors. The second variance is regarding the proposed building length. It will be 7.68 meter. It will minimum exceed the permitted length of 17 meter by 0.68 meter. From the angle of the architectural design, it the increased 2 feet will contribute much more for interior area. Since the proposal is happened at the backyard extension, it is supposed to having a minimal impact to existing site and neighborhood context.
By the way, many of the existing buildings within the vicinity of a subject site have exceeded 70 meters building depth. So we think the variance should be minor in nature. The third variance is for the building depth. Could you please go to the site plan? The maximum building depth is 90 meters. Our proposed building depth is 21. In exemplary work, and you will find the minimal front yard setback is 60 meters from the center line of the street. So it's different with the others for the average front yard setback of the neighbors. So the proposed backyard extension will be minimal, exceed the limited alleyway. So actually, we carefully limited all the impact of the development to the street or the neighborhood context. Actually, the lot is 150 feet long, so we still have enough room for the backyard and enough distance to our vicinity neighbors. Furthermore, actually, we provide 1.2 meter and 1.3 meters setback to the neighbors. That is more than the average 0.9 meter. That is the requirement. So I think that is only it will provide the minimal sunshine the concerns to our side neighbors. So that's all the three minor variants and the clarifications uh, for this proposal. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Sam, for your time. Members of the committee, any questions for Sam at this time? Okay, I see none. Thank you, Sam. There are no questions of you at this time. We will now go ahead and speak with the neighbors who have signed in today. So we have Dale Bondi. Oh, Dale is not there. Okay. And we have Roy Bondi. All right, Roy.
Hello.
Hello, Roy.
I actually don't have any comments. I had a conversation with the property owners just to better understand the design, and I also have no issues with it. I agree with the construction as it's proposed. So I just came on to audit this meeting and see if anybody else had any other objections that I hadn't thought of. But I have no issues with it as proposed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Roy, for your time. So going back to Sam. Sam, so you heard the person who had registered has no further concerns or questions. I just want to confirm with you that you're aware that that urban forestry has conditions. Are you aware of those conditions, and are you okay with those conditions?
I'm okay. I will have my client to apply for that permit.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions of Sam? Any further comment? I see none. Okay. Well, thank you, Sam. We will now take the matter into committee, and the committee will make a decision on it. So, members of the committee, any question or comments? Member M, please go ahead.
I just wanted to thank the speaker for taking the time to meet with the owner and to better understand the design. We did receive your letter, and many of the comments in it were actually in our not within our preview, as they weren't actually directly related to the variances at hand. But I'm very happy to know that you guys have worked it out amongst each other. And with that, I do believe that the three variances before us are minor in nature, and I'm prepared to move forward with a recommendation of approval, subject to the urban forestry conditions.
Okay, so is that a motion then?
Yes.
Okay,
Madam
so we
Chair.
have a motion on the floor to approve the application subject to conditions of urban forestry. May I have a seconder, please? Member Saeed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion for approval.
Okay, all in favor of this motion? The motion is carried. She turned away. Okay. Okay. Everyone's in favor of this motion. You have to raise, everyone has to raise their hand, please. It is carried. The application is approved subject to conditions of urban forestry. Thank you. All right. We go to item number.
Apologies, sorry. Working from home and the school just ended for my child and he just wanted to ask my permission to watch TV. So
I'm in favor of that. So he can go ahead. All
less
right.
interruptions with TV.
No, I know. That's okay. All right. So we move to now item 25. Item 25 is 128 Zaf Avenue. And I think, Member M, you have a conflict?
Yes, I'm going to
So
excuse.
you can
I'm
go
going to
and
excuse
spend some
myself.
time with your child. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye. Okay. So let's have the agent online with us, Peter Jurusik.
Yes, I am here.
Perfect, Peter. So, okay. So, Peter, you have 5 minutes. Please go ahead if you have a presentation.
I have a short presentation. So we've been working with the neighbors on this project. So I take it you guys do have the revised list of variances that we submitted last Friday. So we've reduced, in discussions with various people in the community, we've reduced the plans to comply with the massing. So in terms of in terms of all the setbacks and coverage, we comply. We only request now 4 variances. One is the floor space index because we have that
Sorry,
extra room above the.
just bear with me, Peter. I will request staff to bring up the modified list so that we can all follow.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know if you guys had it in your book or not.
No problem. No, we had it in our agenda. So Katrine's bringing it up, so just bear with me.
Yep.
So that everyone can follow it then. Sure. Okay. Thanks, Katrine.
There we go.
Okay, so
So these are the revised list of variances that we requested. Um, we've been in discussion with forestry department. There is a chestnut, a tree in the front that they wanted us to try to see what we can do. So we pushed the house further back to the existing foundation wall on the property. And that instead of pushing the house back, we just shortened the house, which eliminated building length, front yard setback requirements, and it reduced the size of the house to the 405 square meters.
okay.
So that left the 405 square meters as a requested variance. And in addition, we have remaining variances are regarding the height. Our front elevation, we're permitted 10 meters. Due to a little, just for the elevation with the gables, we want to maintain a decent looking gable instead of having it look squished. We try to keep a 12-12 gable, which requires that extra 23 centimeters height, just to permit that little bit of a gable to go up to 12-12. That will make the architectural look better. I've seen too many houses with very squashed looking gables on the front elevation. So I wanted to try to maintain that. That's why we're just asking for that 23 centimeters addition, just so we can get those gables at a decent size to help the streetscape look better with decent looking gables, as opposed to having ones that are more squashed at a 812 or a 612 type of angle. The other height is the proposed side yards, which we request for to the underside of eaves trough, which requires 8.27. And the old bylaw still has height as well, which so that height of 10.38 under the old bylaw and 10.23 under the new bylaw are the 2 height variances. So we've worked with planning staff who have no concerns with this, but regardless, even with our neighbors, our clients said let's reduce it and eliminate some of these other variances just so they're not as not having that issue. These we are in talks. I do have a phone call into the forestry department. I know they put in a letter regarding this. We have, if someone can bring up the site plan, the current house, the garage is like 2 centimeters from the property line. We have two trees, one where the one that's right in the middle of the driveway, and then one closer. So the forestry department, we're gonna have discussions with them because they didn't want us to cut down that one tree. These variances will allow us to flip the house if the forestry department's is okay with the other tree. But the other tree, we can actually maybe even work around it. So I didn't want to confuse everybody too much and start modifying all the plans. So these variances themselves will be able to accommodate flipping the house. And I know that's a forestry issue, and I have done it in the past, even right before permit. They've requested for me to flip the house to help with trying to save a tree. So these variances that we're requesting right now will allow us to be more flexible with the forestry department if they want us to flip the house or rearrange the driveways to try to accommodate some of these trees.
Okay. All right. So just kind of going back to the revised notice, then you are withdrawing. There's a modification to variance number 1, number 2 and 3 have been withdrawn, and number 6 and 7 have been withdrawn.
Correct.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions of Peter at this time? All right, so we have 2. I'll start with Member Macaulay, and then I will go to Member Said. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
It's just a clarification. If you flip the house, your maximum permitted height of the exterior portion of the side main walls is 7.5 meters. That will remain, right?
Everything will remain, yes, because it's a fairly flat lot. So flipping the house, it's on both sides trying to attain that. Nothing's going to change on the roof line.
Okay, and the difference between item 8 and item 4 is just one is above mean grade and the other one is above established grade, right?
Correct. One's the old bylaw, one's the new bylaw. Yeah, it's under the definitions of new and old bylaw.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Macaulay. Member Said, please go ahead.
Mr. Peter, the variance number 2, 3, 6, 7 has been withdrawn. I wonder, the urban forestry comments, or they are not supporting you, so those are the comments before this withdrawal of the variances, or you are accommodating their to get their support? You are withdrawing these variances.
We are pushing the house further back to to create to the existing foundation walls to try to save that one tree. So if they say flip the house and rework it, then this existing the foundations will work with the existing foundations of the house, which means that that tree that's right the closest to the garage there could still be accommodated by the fact that now it's pushed back 6-7 feet from the root structure there, and the where you see the dash line and the vinyl garage, that tree is the front area where it says sunken den lines up with the existing house on property, which means any potential root structure would have grown with the existing foundation. So we decided to push. Well, originally we requested to remove it, but we pushed the house back just to give that kind of a chance for it to, if they say yes, let's save that tree, then I can flip the house and put the garage on the other side, and now that tree's going to be in the front yard, and it's already accommodated by where the existing foundation walls are. So the growth of the roots are already kind of hitting that kind of foundation wall there. So we're in line with that, which has happened in previous projects as well for me.
Thank you, Mr. Peter.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other comment or question? Okay, I see none. Thank you. Mr. Jurasik, we will now move to speaking with our residents. We have David Lamb. David, are you with us? We can see you're signed in.
I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. All right, David, you have 5 minutes, and please go ahead and
I don't
advise
need
us.
that. I just an observer. I'm living on the other side of the, well, I'm living on the Goldin, which is not the same street, which is just back to back to south. I just attend this meeting for my general knowledge.
So you are
No
not
comment.
go. So you will not be speaking.
I have no uh, comment on whatsoever.
Okay. All right. You don't have any concerns. Okay. All right. Um, all right. Thank you so much for attending. Now we will move to our next speaker, Peter McWatt. Peter, you're with us.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, hello?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Peter. If you could speak a little louder, please, that would be helpful.
Okay, I must say that the revised variance list has primarily solved a lot of the issues that I had with the build. The only concern I have now is if they flip the house, I believe there is another mature tree that will be impacted. The chestnut tree will be saved. Um, it should be saved anyway by the setback being removed. But there is another mature tree on the house on the other side, um, closer to the road than the chestnut tree. The one that the actual sign is hiding behind now, um, that would definitely be impacted. So I wouldn't say that the forestry thing would be corrected by this flip, or the forestry concern would be corrected by this flip. But as
So,
for my, sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, no, sorry. I was just about to say that forestry provided some concern, a memo to us, and we will get to the details later on. But yeah, we have something. We have a memo from them.
Okay, then as far as that's concerned, what I presently am doing here has been satisfied by the changes they made in their adjustment.
Yeah. So urban forestry had concerns with the tree removal, and which is that chestnut tree that you have indicated, and I believe that's the tree that will be protected. So that is no longer a concern. That has been taken care of.
Okay, but I just want to note that the chestnut tree was in danger based on the old design.
Yes.
If they did they removed the setback variance and flipped the property, there is another tree that forestry would have a problem with.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Okay, it wouldn't have been impacted from the first design, but if you flip the property, it will be impacted.
Okay, so we'll get that clarification from Mr. Jerusik
Yeah,
when he's
okay.
back.
And that's why I'm making that note.
Perfect.
It's not a concern now because that tree is not in danger.
Okay.
But it certainly would be if you flip the property.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other comment, Peter?
At this time, like I say, for the record, the removal of the four variances solved all of the issues that I had.
Okay. Thank you for your time, Peter. Before you leave, members of the committee, any questions for Peter? Okay, I see none. Well, thank you for taking the time, Peter, and speaking with us. I will now move to Mr. Jerusik.
Yes. Very simple. The reason why we're flipping it now is that tree, the farther tree, is now 7.3 meters away from the new building setback. And in previous applications, we've been able to create narrow driveways to clear the tree, and then it opens up to the garage to create to protect trees like that. So being 7.26 meters away from the garage, that tree, we'll have enough room to have a 6-meter parking spot in front of it, and then 1.2-meter radius around the tree, should the forestry department want us to save that tree. So that's going to be the next stage, and in everything that's now working with the forestry department, that if they're okay with us to remove that tree, which is a little bit less significant, well, it's still significant, but it's a 0.5 tree as opposed to the chestnut tree, then there's two ways of doing it. We remove it if they're okay with it. If not, we can start with a 3 meter narrower driveway and then encircle around that, and we'll still have adequate spot to have a full parking spot in front of the garage with an extra 1.5 meters before we hit the trunk. So that's why we've pushed the house back to create the scenario where we can mitigate either tree now.
Okay. All right, fair enough. And I'm sure Urban Forestry will review it and advise accordingly, or whatever arrangements have to be made will be in place. Okay, all right. And we did hear that the other resident did not have any concerns. He was just to observe. Members of the committee, any questions for Peter? Okay, I see none. All right. Peter, before I take the matter into committee, any closing remark?
I just appreciate your time listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Peter. All right, committee members, we take it into committee now. If there is a comment. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Yes, well, we're into committee now. My question really is to staff. I would like to move approval of this, subject to the approval of urban forestry. But because we've got a letter of objection, how do we word that?
So you
Staff
can't
to give
approve. So you can't approve an application subject to.
Urban Forestry has not provided any conditions. So through the chair, there is going to be a separate urban forestry process, which is outside of Committee of Adjustment. So the applicant will have to go through that process irregardless. So my suggestion to the committee is that you approve it with no conditions.
If committee,
because if the committee chooses to, because the urban forestry conditions will be addressed through a separate permit process administered by urban forestry.
Okay, as I understand it, before they get a building permit, they have to get an approval of urban forestry, regardless of whether we add it as a condition or not. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. On that basis, I am prepared to recommend approval of this variance as modified, and that would be variances 1, 4, 5, and 8, as shown on the latest letter. I'm looking for a letter dated
it was a
June
modified. 20. It was a modified notice dated June 21st.
Yeah.
It was a zoning waiver dated June 21st.
Okay.
Could you
and approval?
Okay.
Could you repeat the variances? It's include the variance number 4 as well?
Yes, it includes the variance number 1, 2, and 3 have been withdrawn. Variance number 4, which is the building height. Variance 5, exterior walls, and a variance number 8, which is again building height.
Through the chair, all you need to do is just we'll make sure we get it correct. It's really just referring back to the modified list of variances. Submit as per the applicant's revised zoning waiver dated June 21st. It's in the supplemental agenda.
Okay.
Approval as amended.
Okay, so basically it's approval subject to the amended notice or the zoning waiver dated June 21st. Okay, all right, have a seconder, please. Member Saeed, please go ahead.
I second the motion, Madam Chair.
All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. Application has been approved as amended. Thank you. All right. We now go to item number 26, and we can have member M back. Member M, if you're listening in, yes, you are. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to move to item 26. Item 26 is 22 Blackbird Gate. And we had held it down and we started to discuss, and then we decided we're going to hold it down for a little bit more discussion. So can we have Daniel Felsen back, please? Perfect. Daniel, you're with us?
I'm back.
All right, perfect. So
I
maybe
am here.
maybe we can continue the discussion. And I know member M, you were kind of into it. So do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll just quickly summarize, and I also believe member Macaulay had some comments as
Yes.
well. So my main concern when we first were vetting the application was there an appropriate alternative? And I had thought that the appropriate alternative would have likely been in the rear yard, subject to, structural feasibility. And my understanding from the applicant Daniel's response to my question was that the main wall of the rear yard had on the south side of it a sliding door that would prevent the ability to have a walkout below, as well as a chimney stack on the northern part of that main rear wall, which would also prevent the ability to knock out into the basement and have this door. And I'm assuming that there's no space in between. But then we decided to hold down the item. I don't know, Daniel, if there was anything else you wanted to add to it, but basically my concern is, this is a very constrained side yard from what I see. And, I was just hoping that there was some alternative. But if you have exhausted sort of your analysis on where it was viable to punch out in terms of to having this access point, then, I trust that. And that was just all I was going to say. I don't know if you want to respond or if member Macaulay wants to jump in and then you can respond to both of us. I leave that to Madam Chair to chair that decision.
Okay, I would like to give Daniel an opportunity just to kind of cover off this space, and then we will go to member Macaulay. So Daniel?
Yes, we did exhaust all options. If we could have put it in the backyard, to be honest, my client would prefer it to be in the backyard. It's just not feasible here.
Okay, all right. So that was a straightforward answer. So now we are going to move to member Macaulay. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Thank you. This is one of those sites where I went out and took a good look at what is happening there, and I've got some questions. Number 22 and 24 are houses side by side. Obviously, the owner of 22 and the owner of 24 got together. Number 22 is fully paved in the front yard with patterned concrete. Number 24, which is to the right or to the north, is also paved a portion of the front yard and their driveway. But what is really noticeable with respect to this application is that concrete pavement goes from the street line right to the rear of both properties. And there's no fence, there's no dividing line here. So when
Can I just interject for a second? I'm thinking, Katrine, if you could bring up the street view. From the street view, you really can see clearly what member Macaulay is saying, because I didn't do a physical visit, but I did do a street view visit. And what she's saying is very, very clearly shown in the street view. So as member Macaulay is talking to this, I think it's important for the other members to see what she is talking about if they had not had a chance to see the site.
Thank you, Member Ems. Yes, it's an issue where the neighbor who is really sharing that side yard, one on one side and one on the other side, that neighbor is objecting. And if they put these stairs there, there's virtually inches to get around that whole stairs without going on to the neighbor's property. So I have some concern about that. I have some concern about how would these people get to their backyard without going onto the neighbor's property. There isn't the opportunity to use the other side of their property. There just isn't room to walk back there. And
There's With the south, there's
And I
there's
noticed
4 feet.
that number 20,
The
number
street
20,
view, please. Thank you. The street
yeah,
view. Thank you.
number 24, Blackburn, they have objected. And so I was wondering, we haven't got the owner here. You can see the pavement that goes all the way back, the pattern pavement that goes all the way back to the back of the property. And that pattern pavement is shared by both owners, 22 and 24.
Great, that's it.
Has anyone spoken to number 24? We have the agent here, we don't have the owner, and we don't have the owner of number 24.
That's okay. I
Even though
mean,
he
Member
has
Macaulay, that
objected.
is up to whoever representing the application should have the answer. So maybe we can just ask Daniel in terms of if you can clarify in this situation that is being raised and identified, has a discussion happened with the adjacent neighbor?
Well, wait, because the adjacent neighbor submitted a letter, and
Yes.
that letter was clear. Like, yes, they're not here today.
Exactly.
However, they have submitted a letter.
So my
And their
question,
letter was of objection.
yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
this is what I was
Well,
asking.
So
Any
has
discussion
anyone,
has
it
happened or
seems
not?
that no, there hasn't been any discussion, but there is a letter, and it seems that the main concern of number 24 is just safety. Um, there is this paved area. It looks like it was done mutually at the same time, but I don't see how that's relevant. There's 8 feet in between the two houses, in between 22 and 24, which leaves 4 feet, which legally belongs to 24, for 24. There will be no access from the side yard to the backyard of 22. There is, however, on the south side, 4 feet between the houses, 2 feet, which legally belongs to 20, 20 and 22. 22, yeah, and 20 legally, which would be the access to the rear yard for 22.
So, Daniel,
Right?
the issue was more than just, I
Mhm.
think, safety. It was just overall access points, right? So, it's a matter of you're building straight to that edge of the lot limit on that shared sort of pavement area, and she was sort of concerned about how she would get or how people would get maintenance equipment through. And so it's either you're going to encroach on 20's side yard, or you're probably going to encroach on 24. Either way, you're encroaching no matter which way you go into the rear yard. I mean, I'm sympathetic in which you're just trying to build an access point to your basement. However, it can't be at the expense of your immediate neighbor.
No, but it isn't, and not I believe, the air conditioner AC units are between 22 and 24. So there's already a protrusion of
It's
two
the
feet.
stairs though. Danielle, the stairs are
I understand, but
0.12 of a meter. So you're saying that because they're not going to go
yes, but
around that 0.12 is literally
there's
inches,
no
right? And so
access.
they're going to
There's
realistically go around those stairs, and that is technically speaking going to be trespassing.
no, there's no actual way. There's no access from that side yard to the rear yard because
There's a
walk
gate.
the walk
You can
up is
see it.
blocking it.
There's a gate.
No,
If
no,
you
no.
go
That
back.
gate won't be there anymore. That gate won't be there anymore. It'll be gone. So if you look at the site plan, the walk up is going right to the back corner of the house. And for all intensive purposes, if you just want to imagine, it takes up the entire
So
side yard.
Christine,
There's no way to access
Katrine, if
their
you
rear
wanna,
yard.
oops, we've lost the street view. I was gonna say, if we go further up, you can clearly see the division line because there is an existing gate there. And so with these stairs there, literally there's mere
Yes,
inches.
but I understand.
is,
But
is there
again,
no
that
way to put,
the new walk up is going to block. If you
Thank you.
pull up,
Just a
can you
little bit
pull up
more
the
north,
site plan?
Katrine.
Can you pull up the site plan
Just
instead?
just one at a time. We're getting a lot of interruption here. So we can Katrine's pulling up the street view.
If you could just go north, Katrine, just go north, and then have a look down the alley, please.
Just a
And
little bit,
you'll
yeah,
sort of
right there.
see, yeah, and then now zoom in. So you'll see that gate there, which he is saying is no longer going to be there, but that it basically gives you sort of the limit, the extent of where those 4 feet kind of end. It's probably the width of that gate. That being said, those stairs are basically 0.12 of that limit right there, and so people are gonna either side's gonna have issues where they're going to be trespassing on one another.
No, there shouldn't be any trespassing issues because number 24 will have
So
4
you're saying
feet
that it's
of,
going to be fully fenced in? There's going to be a full fence
well,
in, and there's not going to be any access to the rear yard? I highly doubt that. It's a much
correct.
wider
Yes.
open area for people to walk than on the south side. It's going to be
No, no,
human
no.
nature to think it's
There's
easier.
no, no, no. You have to take my word for it because there's technically no way to get around the walkout. The walkout has a 3'6" high guard on top of it. So there's no physical space to get between the fence which divides the 2 rear yards and the side
I guess
yards.
it's hard
There's
to
theoretically
visualize
no way
because
to
we
get through.
didn't have any elevations. We literally just had one very simple
Well,
site
if
plan.
you elevations, you can see it from the site plan, and
No, site
there
plan
is an
is
elevation.
2D. I had
Yeah,
only
but the
seen
site
the
plan
site
gets
plan.
the point across.
No,
The
to me
site
it
plan
does not
clearly
get the
shows.
point across. Okay, if
But if
Katrine
you
could
look,
bring up the
Okay,
site plan.
let's one at a time. We just can't go back and forth like this.
Yeah,
I'm getting a lot of
I know.
interruption.
If you could actually mute him while I'm trying to speak, it might be better, and then he can go and address.
One
So
at a
this is
time.
the thing.
That's the thing.
We've got the location map, the survey, and this site plan, right? We don't have an elevation, and what an elevation is, maybe he doesn't understand what an elevation is, but it's looking at it as a section where it's 3D in nature, where we can see that sort of whatever you're saying is a guard. But what I'm looking at here is a box with a hatched limit that literally is mere inches from the property line. That is going to be an obstruction for access into the backyard other than on the south side, which is like 2 feet. Um, likely, human nature is going to go around this walkway, which is going to be a trespassing condition on the property to the north. So
Does
like
this help,
this
Amy?
doesn't give me
Does this
no, it
plan
doesn't.
help?
It's still 2D. It's still 2D. This is a little bit more helpful, but I'm still not really understanding how that works because it looks like the stairs go up, but I
No,
can't
it's
see the
going
side
down.
elevation.
So you're looking at
Yeah,
going down.
I'm looking south. This is a section south, but I was hoping to see a section either east or west.
Katrine, do you mind going just a plan above? Just
In this case, as I understand it, you've
right
got
there, right there.
the stairs going down into the basement. And the only way he gets access to that is he needs to go on the adjacent property to get access either to
Yep,
this or
correct.
to the backyard.
So there will
Yeah,
be trespassing on the
There will
neighboring
be
property.
trespassing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely.
that's not correct.
I'm
Okay.
sorry,
There's
but
no intent to. There's no intent for access to this walkout to be from the front yard. Right where do you see the top right corner of the walkout?
Okay.
The extent, pretty much where the mouse is. There's a fence that will literally touch the concrete wall of the walkout and follow the property line.
but that is not
This
shown in
walkout
the
is only providing
plan.
access from the basement. No, but
That it's not shown in the
it's
plan.
a
So
fence. There,
unless
it's
it's
taken that there's
shown,
a fence at the rear property line.
but
I can
if
add it. I'm more than happy to add it for
One
you.
at a time, please. Let the sentence finish, please. So,
so basically from the plan, there's nothing to say that it is only intended from the rear because human nature is to go whatever's easiest path, right? The easiest path would be to trespass, go along that wall and into the back. So unless there's something on the plans tying this to those plans, we can only go based on what we have before us. And what we have before us does not prevent that trespassing from occurring. And this is your direct neighbor who has had, there's 4 letters of opposition in regards to this.
There's actually 3. One of them is from
No, let him speak, please.
the same neighbor.
Yeah.
Right. There's 3 letters. One is again, it's the same neighbor wrote 2 letters. And it seems he's quite a distance away. He wouldn't be affected by this work at all. But keep in mind, there's a fence, a wooden fence between the property lines that separates the rear yards, and the rear yard ends right where this walkout begins.
And
Okay, that's
can I
really the
ask
key here.
how is the
It's not
owners,
like we have
Okay, now Member Macaulay, you can go ahead.
how is the owners supposed to get equipment such as a lawnmower from the garage at the front of the property to the backyard so that they can maintain the backyard?
from the south 2 feet.
You can't get a lawnmower down 2 feet.
Why not? 2 feet's quite wide.
Not 5
How do they
feet.
do it in Toronto houses?
That's the.
No, it's not 5 feet, but 2 feet's more than enough. And there's no encroachment
All
with
right,
that
I
2
think
feet. Keep in mind there's keep in mind
I
there's
think
4
we've had
feet.
enough discussion on this as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, but Member Macaulay, we need to let Daniel finish his comment before we can go into or go forward. So Daniel, I will let you finish your comments, please. Is it Daniel?
Okay, at the end of the day, really the walkout's meant for the yeah, it's Daniel. It's at the end of the day, the walkout is meant for the owner's use only. He has his elderly parents living in the home. I believe they're in the basement. He wants to give them access to the backyard only. So there's no intended access to the front. I'm happy to draw in a fence in the site plan as a condition of approval. I do believe 2 feet on the south side is plenty of room for a lawnmower. I wouldn't say it's subjective. And regarding I guess the neighbor to the south, I believe he may have had some other issues with the homeowner 22. I'd like to see them resolve it, but I don't want that to get in the way of your decision, please. And that's really all I have to say.
Where will this fence be, Daniel?
Right from, if you see it says 1 point, oh yeah, it's probably better if you go to the site plan, the previous drawing.
Okay, so where
Okay,
will
do you
the
see
fence
where it
be?
says 1.23?
Mm-hmm.
Fence will be right where that 1.23 is, the right side where it hits the property line,
Mm-hmm.
but bring it further south to where the walkout begins.
So keep
So
coming
right
down.
between the 2 houses,
Mm-hmm.
just bring your mouse, yeah, just
Keep
keep going, keep going, keep going.
going,
Just a
keep down.
little here, right where the walkout, the corner of the walkout is, right there. There's going to be a fence right from that point to the back property, the rear property line, like in any typical backyard.
But what about the side lot line?
That is the side lot line.
Okay, so you think that the fence will be there and it will not be accessed by anyone from the front yard. It'll be accessed from the other side?
100%.
So are people, can you, yeah.
See, the neighbor would literally have to consent to removing the fence between the 2 properties before there can be access from the front of the house to the rear.
Okay, so that has not happened yet. So as you said, the consent would have to be given, right? That has not happened yet. What if he says, no, I'm not going to consent to give you that?
Of course. And the
And
neighbor is
not
3.
only that, but
Court?
sorry, I'm just saying, but we also need to see this. The fence is not shown, right? And so I'm personally not comfortable
Okay.
doing this without having all of the facts before me.
Okay, may I suggest one thing? I'm just putting it out there. Is that we defer this application, give the applicant an opportunity to speak with the owner, to speak with the neighbor, come up with an arrangement that's going to work out in terms of how that is going to be accessed and how the trespassing and all that can be avoided, and that the neighbor is on board. So if that's, I think that would be more, prudent or productive, as opposed to us trying to go around or make a decision, an unfavorable decision. So maybe here's an opportunity to go back and really flush it out based on what's been heard today. Yes, so I'm asking the
I
applicant
support
here.
that.
I'm
I
asking.
just don't see any.
Hmm?
I don't see anything to discuss with the neighbor. It's obvious her concern with safety to the north. Safety is not an issue. I'm an engineer. This is going to be designed to meet the Ontario Building Code.
Okay, so here's the thing.
If we
Whatever you
defer it, I
decide.
can't imagine us getting any further. I mean,
We have letters that say otherwise, sir, that it's not just safety, it was also trespassing and access issues. It's your choice. We can move forward with a decision. It may not be favorable to you, or we could allow you the opportunity to sort this out, because there's clear issues with the fence. How is, like Madam Chair was going to say, how is this going to be completed without their consent to alter this fence that we can't even see on these plans? So I suggest that you take this back, have those discussions, update your drawings to be more accurate of the existing conditions on your site, so we have all the information before us, so we can make an educated decision on your application.
Is that fair, Daniel?
okay, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. All right. I think that would be in the
Yeah.
interest of your client and the neighbor, and also for the committee to be better informed when we make our decision. I think clearly we're not seeing things that you may be seeing, and maybe it's a matter of updating the drawings and showing exactly how that movement will occur, where the fence will be, and maybe show for context, maybe show what the building line or the house location is on the abutting property, which is, I believe, 28, right?
Or the elevation,
Or something, just something more to help us. I think we've had a good hearing, and you have heard it's more about confusion and misunderstanding than any of us taking a position on it. So I think if you can help us answer those questions, I think that would be really helpful. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So on that note, I guess committee, there's an Daniel is willing to go back and defer and do some more. So on that note, on that basis, what's the
put forward a
suggestion here?
motion.
What's the motion here?
I would like to put forward a motion of deferral, subject to further information to be provided by the applicant for clarity on the design and the access issues. Thank you.
Okay. May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay seconds the motion. Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application is deferred sine die, and I think the purpose of the deferral was clearly spelled out in the motion. Colin, I hope you caught it. Okay.
Yes, it's correct. Thank you. So that motion carried. Just one, I guess that's concluding the first afternoon session, correct? For PM session part 1, we do have an announcement with regards to the YouTube stream, which I'll defer to Katrine on.
Okay, all right. So for those who are listening, this is the end of our agenda for the first part of the PM, and now staff will make a decision. Oh, sorry, an announcement.
Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you for your patience. For those YouTube viewers, we're going to be switching our stream to the Committee of Adjustment Public Hearing Scarborough, June 23rd, 2021 PM session part 2. That is for the June 23rd, 2021 PM session part 2. If you'll give us a few moments.
Through the chair, does the panel need bio break, or do you want to go straight through to the PM session, the 4 p.m. session?
Committee members?
Just a 15
Madam
minute
Chair, we
break
can
would
take a
be
break of 5
appreciated.
minutes.
5 or 15?
5 minutes is
I
okay.
was requesting 15,
Okay.
but that's okay. How
How,
about
how,
10? We'll meet in the middle. 10
Okay,
we'll
maybe
meet in the
10
middle.
minutes. Let's do 10
Excellent.
minutes.
Yes.
So it
4:30.
is, okay, so
4:30.
it's 4:18. We'll meet at 4:30. So that gives you 12 minutes. See you back at 4:30.
Okay, we'll see you viewers at 4:30 in the Part 2 p.m. stream. Thank you very much.